I love van life, but if I was to start over again, there are 5 things I would do differently. For those that don't know me, I'm Catherine. I travel solo with my cat Lucky throughout Canada and the States. The 5 things I would do differently if I started over. The first thing, I would have more hands-on with my van build and make a clear electrical plan. Originally, I was going to have my dad help me build out the van, but he passed away suddenly, so I hired a company to do it for me. I had watched tons of videos on van builds and had made many different design layouts, finally settling on a layout that I thought would work really well. And truthfully, I still love my overall layout. It works for me. After giving my builders the overall layout plan, they did the work without much input from me, which I regret. Because of this, I didn't catch a few issues that I wish that had been done differently. The first one is it's difficult to get into the back of my van. I told them security was one of my major issues. I was going to be living in the city for at least a year, and I wanted to make sure no one could break into my van. And usually break-ins come through the back doors. So their interpretation of this was to mount my propane tanks at the back door. This makes it difficult for me to get into the back. I have to remove the tanks and the stand in order to open the doors. I wish I would have asked them to position the propane tanks elsewhere. Second is the positioning of the USB and some electrical outlets. The USB is too far from the bed for me to easily charge my phone at night. I have a 10-foot cord attached to the wall and the bench so that I can plug in my phone near me and also not trip over anything when I get out of bed. Some of the electrical plugs are on the opposite walls from where I actually need them. So plan where you want to have your electrical outlets. I spent more time on the overall layout and not these specific details. I also was focused on being stealth in the city, which I rarely do now. So think long-term with your overall plan. The second thing I would do, I would spend more money on certain things. I was on a fairly limited budget when building out my van, so I had to make compromises. But the things I would now spend more money on are insulation. I would go with the best quality insulation for the wall, ceiling, and floor. A van is hard to keep at an even temperature, and this helps. Secondly, flooring. My floor had to be replaced in year 2 because the laminate cracked. I would go with a 1-piece vinyl flooring. Spend the money as this is going to be walked on daily. The third thing I would spend money on is a 2-way fridge or a 3-way fridge, propane and electric for sure. I thought I would have enough power for my electric fridge, and most of the time I do if it's sunny. But on a cloudy west coast for a couple weeks, I have to turn my fridge off to save power. The third thing I would do differently is learn more about power, solar power to be specific, and how much electricity I would need. This was by far my biggest expense, and I trusted my builders without having much knowledge. They chose well. I have a Go Power. I really like the system. I've had no problems in the 4 years, so I'm really happy with it. But if anything did go wrong, I would know very little about how to fix it. So I would really take the time to learn about the solar and how much electricity you are going to need. The fourth thing I would do differently is I would budget more for van maintenance and travel. I hear people talking about having an emergency fund. This is so important for emergencies. However, if I was doing it differently, I would make sure I have a large savings account. A huge slush fund comes in handy. I figured my line of credit and an extra credit card would be enough. They have come in useful for sure, but this is one of the reasons I'm staying at the farmhouse, is to pay them off. I can't say this enough. Have savings. Or have enough income to put money aside regularly for regular expenses like basic maintenance on the van, oil changes, servicing, new tires, batteries, burned out lights. It all happens and it all adds up fast. For surprise costs like fluctuating gas prices, for an appliance that breaks, leaving my step behind, or the wind breaking my chair. All of these little things add up. And if you don't have savings for it or the income for it, it can be stressful. For park fees, entrance fees, campgrounds, exchange rates if you're traveling to another country. All of this adds up really quickly. So having enough income to cover these things is really important. Van life isn't cheap. It's just different. It's still expensive. The fifth thing I'd do differently is I'd redefine success sooner. In the beginning, I felt like I had to be a full-time traveler to do van life right. I had to always be on an adventure to be a true van lifer. Over time, I've learned that slow, quiet, and even staying put still counts. Do van life the way you want, and don't compare with others. Do you. You do not have to be traveling 365 days a year. For me, having a home base for a few months is really valuable. I can visit with family, rest, give my energy to other interests and passions, to reset. If you're starting out van life, take what helps and leave the rest. There's no one right way to do this. If you've been on the road a while, what's one thing you would do differently? I would love to hear from you. Please take the time to help me grow my channel. Like and subscribe. Thanks for being here with me. See you next time.